morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where y'all are in the world. This is JJ and JJ's PC Builds. If it's your first time here, make sure you subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. And also, too, welcome all the new subscribers again. Welcome to the family. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds. And my veteran subscribers, as always, much love to you for all the love and support you've shown us on the channel. Okay, now let me fix a couple things here. That'll probably fix one thing. Audio. I have this one program that keeps popping up. I gotta sit there and fix about every 5 minutes. I should just uninstall it, but you know, I want to leave it in just in case I want to do some different effects. I should get me something, you know, some stuff, but anyway, we're not going to go ahead and get into all that. Today, I know I said yesterday, I said I might or might not be able to make a video, but today I'm going to try to. It's early in the morning, so we're going to try to get this video going. I said yesterday on the last video that I was doing Am5 builds and everything else, and also too showing you how to use BIOS flashback. But I really didn't get in depth enough of showing you the Am5 builds. Now, I really wasn't going to steer towards doing anything with Am5 right now, but since it's a newly platform out there, there are some things we can do with the Am5 series that might, you know, spark something new in your mind. Okay, so what I'm thinking is that we can go and explore together some new builds with the Am5. So today that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and explore it a little bit, and I'm going to take y'all along with me like always, and we'll go to the action screen, of course, and we'll go ahead and we will check out the Am5 series. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with Amazon. Okay, I'm going to start with Amazon. And this will give you, usually Amazon's the best go-to when you want to build yourself a typical system. So what we'll do is we'll start with the Ryzen 7000 series. Okay, so now we'll start with the Ryzen 7000 series so you can get a good idea of what they got going. So now you got the 7600 right here, 6 core 12 thread for 226. Now in the last video I had, I've showed you a processor at 170, so now they got them up at 226. I got the calculator out just in case, so do bear with me on this. We're going to look and see if we can find it cheap enough. I mean super cheap enough to warrant to do the build. Okay, so they got the 7600X, but they got the 7600 right here. Let's take a look at the Ryzen 5 7600, and we're looking for the specs. So we'll go to Tech Power Up to see what the 7600 is. Okay, so it's a 65 watt processor. I'm not into, I try to tell y'all, I'm not into the 100-watt processors for the simple fact is that when you got 100 watts coming off of that processor, it's just a really bad thing. So let's have a look and gander at the 7600 and see what it's about. 6 core, 12 threads, 65 watts, 3.8 gigahertz. Frequency, boost clock's 5.1 gigahertz. It's the Raphael version, socket Am5. Okay, now let's have a little look. It's 5 nanometer. It's got 6,570 million transistors, 71 millimeters, die size 122. TJ Max is 95C. T case is 61C. So it's got Radeon graphics. That's the reason why it's a little bit more expensive. Okay, so they don't give you much as far as telling you what the Radeon graphics are about. Now, understand that. They're not giving you much about the Radeon graphics. So it is 32 megabytes of L3 cache shared. 32 shared. So that means it's going to share probably with the Radeon graphics and the processor itself. So it's up to 5.1 gigahertz. That's not too bad. T-base clock is 100 megahertz, 38 multiplier. It's unlocked. TDP is 65 watts. PPT is 88 watts. It'll run with the 670E, X670E, X670, B650E, and the B650. So this gives you a good idea of what kind of motherboard you could use with a processor like this. Now it supports DDR5 5200, which is not too bad. It'd be better if it supported DDR5 6000, which you never know. They could do an update to where, to make it where it can support with the 6000 series. So they probably already do, so don't quote me on it just yet. We're still, figuring our way through this. But it says it takes, it'll accept ECC memory. Okay, now that's server memory. Now, you gotta remember, there's two kinds of memories. Non-ECC and ECC. Non-ECC is what your normal PC uses. But ECC memory is server-based memory. So do keep that in mind. Okay, now we got a little bit of information on, little bit of information. There doesn't seem to be too much information on it. But I can tell you from what I hear that the iGPU on the processor is not the best in the world. So do keep that in mind. So looking at that for $226, coming down to the one that is at $200, that's $26 difference from a 65 watt to 105 watt. So if you're thinking about, let's say you already have a discrete graphics card that you love to use and it works fine for you. It's a 30 series, and it's running great off of the Am4 architecture you got, but now you want to put it onto the Am5 architecture. Yeah, I would say that you can go to the $199 one, because if we look up the 6X, the 7600X, we just put an X there and then search for it. So what we'll come up to is the 7600X. Okay, now it's got 200 more megahertz than the other one, but the base frequency is 4.7. It's 105 watts. It's still a 6-core 12-thread processor. Okay, Still got 32 megs shared. Even if you get the, this is the thing I always had. The L3 cache, when you had, on the Am4 series, you would get the X processor, which would have 36, and then you got the one with the 16, which gives you L2, gives you a total of 19. So, and you got 32 on the other one for the L3, and plus, L2 gives you 4 more, so it gives you 36. This one right here gives you the same, the 64K per core, 1 meg per core, so that gives you 6 megs of L2, and then you get 32, so you got 38 megs of L cache. Let's just say about 38, 40 megs total overall with the cache. So looking at this launch price started out at $299. Now they're asking $199, so it's $100 cheaper for this one right here. It's got a better multiplier. The PPT is 116 watts. It's going to be a warm processor, so I would recommend, if you get a processor like this, that you get AIO cooling or some kind of water cooling. That would work out great for you. So the TJ Max is 100C on this, so it does give you 100C on the TJ Max, but it's good to keep it as cool as you can when you run your processor. But looking at it, it's still got the DDR5 5200 megahertz, the same support. ECC memory still supports that. The chipset still supports that. Still has the same amount of lanes. So basically, the only thing that I really see that's different between the 7600 and the 7600X is the iGPU. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. The iGPU is the only difference between the two. But this one launched out at $299. Now, even if you get the one with the iGPU for $229, you're still saving $60 or $70 from the original launch price of the X, which is $299. So looking at it, which would be the better deal? Well, of course, this one's going to be the better deal because it's $100 off, but you don't get integrated graphics. Now, I've been hearing that the integrated graphics are not the best on these new Ryzen processors. So, is it really worth getting the integrated graphics? Truthfully, I've seen a couple reviews on it. I'm kind of not recommending that. So basically, let's start off the build, and let's say you get this one right here, the 7600X, for $199, $200. Okay, so that's where the calculator comes in. So we put $200 on it, and we add it. Now we're going to look inside here and see what gives us in store. So they got CPU and they got bundles. Okay, now we can look at a bundle package and see what it does. Okay, so it looks like it's got the Gigabyte B650M Aurora's Elite AX motherboard. Total, you save $109.01 from $498. It's $389. Okay, so that's not too bad. So basically now you got a motherboard for $389, or they're saying that it's $199 for the processor, $200 for the processor. They're saying $190 for the motherboard. Okay, now you're moving up in the world. So even if you get 108, it's still going to be from the Am4 to Am5. There's still going to be this is going to be maybe $60 or $70 higher than the Am4 series, but you get a lot coming along with it. It gives you the 12 plus 2 plus 2 phase VRM, 8 layer, 2x copper PCB, gives you PCI 5.0 plus M.2 connectors, quick release, screwless design. That's pretty good. RGB fusion, LED and RGB strips, smart fan, multi-key reset, direct to BIOS, safe mode, Q+, update BIOS without installing CPU. So that means it's going to have BIOS flashback, memory, and GPU. So to look at it, say $389.98, so it's about $390. So you go back to the calculator and clear this out. Say you spend clear this out, spent $389.98. Now that you got that on there, now you got the motherboard in a bundle package, and you're now moving up to the DDR5 world. Now, you look for DDR5. Okay, so now we're looking for DDR5. $104. Let's see. Let's go and see if they got for 25 to 50. Okay, so we look for 25 to 50 to see what they got for packages. They got a 5200 16 gigabyte 5200 crucial RAM. That there's nothing covering the chips. So I don't know. That's kind of shady to me. I mean, 4800, you can get up to 5200 MTs, 16 gigabytes for $47.99. Let's see. They got this one here that has a heat spreader on it for $48.99, but that's 16 gigabyte kit. It doesn't tell you if it's one or two. So let's keep looking on down the road. 8 gigabytes of 5600 DDR5. Okay, 5600 is $51.99 or $51.72 for 8 gigabytes. 8 gigabytes, $50. $50. 8 gigabytes, $50. $50. So 4800, you can get it for 30. But you're not going to want to run 4800. You want to run what the big boys run. You want to run the 5600s. The 5200s. 16 gigabytes right here. Kingston Fury 4242. Okay, now that is pretty decent right there. Kingston Technology Fury Beast. Okay, 4242. Okay, you found the RAM. Finally, you got 16 gigs of it. 4242. So 42.42, add it. So that's 432. Now you found something with a little bit more substance. Now you found the RAM. Now, I know a lot of people ain't going to run 16 gigs. Some people will, just for gaming and stuff like that. You can run 16 gigs. Okay. Now we look for the M.2 SSD. Let's say Gen 5. Let's see what comes up with Gen 5. Let's see if they got anything close to Gen 5. Okay, so they got a Gen 4 right here, 51 for 45. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. This right here is not bad. Because you get up to 5150 megabytes, transfers. So that's not bad. Let's see if they got something a little bit better. Well, they do. They got the Crucial T700. That just came out too. It's the Gen 5. They want $168 for it. I mean, direct storage enabled. You either go big or you go home. That's basically what it's looking like. You either go big or go home. So let's say you get this right here, the T700. Okay, so add the T700 on. Say that's a good one. That's a good deal. So you get a 167.99. Add that on. That's now $600. Now you're up to $600. Now you got the processor, you got the motherboard, you got the RAM, you got the M.2 solid state drive. Okay, now you got the whole the main components of your PC, and now you can go up to the fifth generation. Instead of being on the fourth generation, you can go up to the fifth generation. So now you're up to the DDR5 series. Okay, now what you're needing is, okay, you say that, okay, now you got all that, but there's one little problem. Now you got a 500 watt power supply, so we gotta do something better about that. So let's see, what are we gonna do? We need a PSU. So we need a PSU, power supply unit. Okay, well, you can go right here, 1000 watt, 80 plus gold, $119. Okay, or you can go down here and get a 750 watt for $89. If you're going to pay $89, you best just go up here to the 1000 watt one and have it all done, and then have all these connections right here. Especially the special connectors you need, have it right here for you. So go $119 more. So say we're at a plus, we're at $119.99. So now you're at $720. Now that's just the power supply. That's just the processor, the motherboard, the RAM, the M.2 SSD, and your PSU. So now that's about as much as you're going to get it on a cheap, cheap amount that you can spend. But you're still not done. You still look at like, well, is my case going to be big enough for the ATX? Well, you measure your case. They give you the measurements. For an ATX, it should say ATX on your case. If your case says ATX, then it's fine. But if it doesn't say ATX, then you need to look in for a case. So now you need to look for uh, computer case. So now we're looking for a computer case. Now let's say you want to keep your budget right under between 25 and 50 bucks. Let's see what they got between 25 and 50 bucks. Okay, they got this one right here for $49. You save $10. It's an ATX case. And let's see what it comes with. It doesn't look like, but I don't like the glass in the front. See, that's the thing to me. The glass in the front, I don't really like it that much. But with the case like this, it looks like that the glass doesn't have all those line displays and everything else. So what you probably do is you could probably take the glass piece off and put those nubs back on and just run it without the glass that's in the front. That'll give you more airflow. So keep that in mind. You can get more airflow out of this than you think. So it looks like at the top it's got 240 millimeters. It's got 120 in the back, got 240 at the top, got 360 at the front. So that gives you an idea if when you run an AIO, if you want to run a 240 or a 360, I wouldn't recommend running a 120 in the back. I mean, if you want to get creative and you know how to do it, you could probably connect the 240 like here, the 240 here, and connect the tubes to the 120 and then connect it to the pump and have it go back into a loop and make a 120 240 kind of loop. Instead of having the 360 in the front, this would be your positive air in. So I wouldn't block this with a radiator, because then you're going to be blocking some of the airflow, the air pressure, and then you're going to have to get fans that run at about 3,000 RPMs just to keep up and bring the airflow in. But do remember, as that's looping around from that hot CPU, it's going to make the liquid in that hot, and it's going to make the radiator hot, so it's going to pull in more hot air. A lot of people say, oh no, it don't pull in hot air, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, I would rather have the hot air exhaust than I would have the hot air come into the case, because then it heats up everything else in the case, including your graphics card and everything else. So if you're going to do it, I would be like on the creative side, putting a 240 radiator and a 120 radiator in it, and combining the two and making a 360 in the back, but it has enough airflow to where you can run 2,500 to 2,700 RPM fans at full bore, like I do here, and be able not to hear your fans at all. So if your fans are running, let's say they're running 2,300 in the front, and you're going to run 2,800 in the back, going through a radiator, you're not going to hear any noise. So that would be, my take on that. So you can be creative like that. If you got a case like this case is $50. You can always take that tempered glass piece off of the front, put those knurls back on, make it look like normal, and still have all this, all this plate right here. This is just a plate that sits next to the glass. So you can leave that wire plate on and just take off the glass and leave the knurls back on, screw them back on, and just leave that plated glass off. Now on the side, it looks good with the plated glass. So you can get creative with it, and you can get creative with the front. So do remember, a case like this is not just you have a case, it's a case that you can make it into whatever you want it to be. Okay, you can modify the case. Always do remember, you can modify a case. So this is compatible with ETAX, ATX, Micro ATX, and Mini ITX. So it's a good case. Okay, now let's see what it comes with. It's got an RGB key and reset button. So it comes with can accommodate 5 to 6 120, 140 millimeter case cooling fans. Does not include fans. Free DIY. Okay, so now we know for $50 that it doesn't include the fans. Okay, that's good. I mean, so let's say we got a case for $49.99, and this is the one. So we add on the $49.99, so that makes it $770. Now let's go backwards. We picked out the case, and now we need PC case fans. This is what I did. I got a $50 case, and I picked out my own fans. So you got 3, you got 6. Got a 6-pack of fans for $55. Look what comes with it. The controller, and it comes with a remote control. So this means you don't have to do anything with the motherboard whatsoever. Everything is on a remote control. I mean, for $55, that's not bad. Okay, now you can look around. There's many different ones. If you want to go Antec, you can go Antec for $50. I mean, but that doesn't come with the controller, a remote control. So, just keep your eyes open, you keep looking, and you'll find what you need to find. Okay, so now let's say that's a 360. Excuse me. Now you really want to be creative and look through and see what you want for fans. Okay. There's many kits that you can get with fans. Many kits. So it matters what you want. That's going to make it better. I mean, if it was me, I would see what I actually would need. So I would tell you something. I would take and go this route right here. Okay, this right here. This route right here. With these fans right here. I would go this route. Okay, and get these fans for $56. Okay, now you got a DIY case and DIY fans. Okay, now you add on $56 if you're doing a black build. Okay, so you get a lot with the fans. They're 2,000 RPMs. That's not too bad. They're not going to be too noisy. So they're not going to be too noisy. It looks like it's got, wow. The only thing I see different, it doesn't have any fan control. Okay, now that brings me back to looking back at the fans, let me type in something else to see what we can come up with. Okay, so, you know, can always go to up here and do that with, do that with your fans for 36. Okay, so looking at it, they're 5-volt fans. So also support remote control, multiple RGB modes, makes it colorful and everything else. It's ARGB, so that means it definitely will have a little bit of color to it. They don't look like bad fans, They don't look like bad fans at all. But you can go down here and you can look for halo adjustable fans. I mean, they're $29.99. It's a 5-pack, but, for $29 or $36, it all depends on what you want to buy. Me, I want something with a little bit more functionality. That's just me. So, it all depends. So, DS Fans 6-pack, $25. Right here. Oh, that's for white. Oh, wow. Okay, so you can go Antec. You can go addressables. Depends on what you want. I mean, you can get a remote with this one. You can go addressables. They got the white rainbow. You like all that rainbow. Or if you like something like this, then you can go this route too. So, I mean, you can go this route right here if you want to get something like that. It's already decked out, but like I said, I don't like the front of the case because it's got a glass front and it doesn't give you much, much of anything. So, let's say this. Let's say you turn around and say, okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and get these right here for $40. Okay. So you can go in here and you can look at the different colors. Comes with 2 RGB strips and you got 3 here. Okay, so now that controller, do understand this controller goes up to 9 fans. Okay, so you can use a total of 9 fans on this controller. So this is just a 3-pack. So you can get a 6-pack or whatever. This comes with the 2 LED strips. If that's what you're looking for right there, it comes with 2 LED strips. Comes with the 3 fans. I don't see that being a bad deal. Okay. Because of the 2 strips. So, but you can do this if you don't want the strips, you just want the fans. Okay, so go up here. And these controllers control the fan speeds. So, you can go to the $40 one. I mean, they got those right there. I think, yeah, these are the ones I got. right here. 38 bucks. Okay, 38 bucks. These would be the fans I would put in, you know. So, let's say you already put the case in here, right? Yep. So now we put in $38.50 for the fans. Say you picked out your fans. Okay, so now you spent, this is only like with the fans in the case is only like $80. Now understand, those two I just combined is only 80 bucks. But they're DIY, so basically you got all the controls. I mean, right here. You get that control. It's got fan speed control, plus the fans go up to like 2,700, 2,800 RPM. They, you know, the ones I got do. But you can do many functions. I think it's got like over 60 plus functions that you can do with the colors. These fans are really good because they get the halo on the sides and on the front and on the back. So it's the front, back, and sides. Now, they're really good fans. Trust me, I'm telling you. I got buttloads of airflow out of this one. Never have a problem with it. So, okay, now you got your fans. Now the last thing piece you need is, okay, so now you need an AIO cooler. So now you're looking for an AIO cooler. Now you can get one like this with the blacked out fans for 59 bucks. Do remember, the fans you just got will adapt to this cooler. So, oh, my bad. It's 140. Okay, and it's not 120. This is 140. Now you're dealing with 120 millimeter fans. Okay, so you want a 240. You want a 240 right here. This would be perfect for $54.99. So guess what? You got it right here. Look at this. This right here, this 240 should keep it cool enough. That should keep the processor cool enough. If it doesn't, then always remember you can adapt another radiator on. If you want to get really creative, you can adapt another radiator on if it's not keeping it cool enough. And, you know, go that route. And you have to, you'll have to get the fluid, the non-corrosive fluids and stuff. The neural connections, probably just one hose neural connection that you'll probably need, because everything you have is based on the pump. Unless you're going to use a secondary pump, and if you use another radiator, with this loop, I would suggest you get another pump with it, and then just be done. So that way you'll be assured that the pump's strong enough to pump all that liquid and circulate it properly. So I did see this done before. They took a 120 and they took they took a 240 and a 120 and go from there. So let's say you want to do that, you go and add on the $54.99. Okay, so now you're up to $863. And do remember, this is not with a graphics card yet. You do not have a graphics card. So you know, and you got to remember, you got that new processor, you have to keep it cool. And you're probably saying, well, why didn't you go with the 360? Well, again, you want it in the front of your case or you want it on the top of your case. You can't put it on the top of your case because it's a 240 on the top of your case. And plus you're trying to save money at the same time. So, but what we can do is this. Okay, let's say we take off the $54.99. Let's say we take off the $54.99. Okay, now we brought it back down to $808. Let's go backwards. Let's go AI cooler 360 mil. Okay. So now you're going to be paying twice the amount to get a 360. You're paying twice the amount to get a 360. See, this is 4th gen. Oh, that's right. That is 4th gen. Is it 4th gen? I'll have to look into that. I think it's... Unless this is for the Am5 series. It says 4th gen, so... It says Am5. Huh. That's cool. It says Am5 series. Yep. Block for AMD, Am4, Am5, LGA 17, and 1200. $109. Okay. So let's say you go with this one right here for the Deep Cool LS720 SE, 360 millimeters. Okay, so you got 120, 240, 360. Let's say you're not too concerned about the heat, that you got enough pressure in the back, you want to put this in the front. Okay, so we put it in the front. We'll put it in the front of the case since it's all open air in the first place after you took that panel off and you just got free airflow going through there. So let's say you add on 109.99. So now you're up to $918. Now do remember, this is still not with the graphics card. Okay? You say you already got a graphics card that's already on hand, that's fine. Well, they got this one here for $67. Wow. Let's see if they got one cheaper than $67. Oh, Lordy. I still think the cheaper you go, the worse the cooler is going to get. So, to be honest with you, I think picking up that cooler was the right choice. Going with this one for $67.90, I wouldn't take too much of a chance of that. Or you could, let's say you say, okay, well, I changed my mind. So now you take off the $109.99. Okay, you add the $67.90. So now it's $876. Now you just saved yourself a couple bucks right here. Okay, so you got this one for $67.90. Okay, so now you have all the pieces to build your computer, but well, now you have all the pieces basically, since you already got the power supply. So, and you already got the graphics card. So, but for $876.77, that's still it's still about $120, $130 over from the fact of an AM4 series build So going from Am4 to Am5, it's going to cost you 120, 135 more dollars to go up to the Am5 series. So there, right here is my response to that. Without a graphics card and getting all the little pieces, building from scratch. This is from scratch. This is not saying, you having a system and you're just modifying your system. This is building it from scratch. So that right there, $876.77 without a graphics card. Going the cheapest route you can probably go on Amazon. Read my lips, on Amazon. Not on the rest of the sites. I just give you one site to give you an idea of the cost. I'm giving you an idea of what it's going to cost. What it's going to cost you to get up to the next best thing. Now, I'm sure you can go with an Intel build that will probably be a lot cheaper than the Am5 series. I'm sure Intel's got a cheaper amount. You can go with the Gen 12, but that's still going backwards, I think, because, with Intel, they're doing the Gen 13, and you want to stay up in the Gen 13 series, like the 13700, or the 13700K or a 13900K. I wouldn't say the KF. That's unless you don't want one with graphics on it. But you can go with the 13900K, but that's still going to be pricey. It's going to be really pricey. So, looking at all this, I just did a basic, what I can find on Amazon for a low budget Am5 series build. That's all I did. Now, I know there's going to be some people that are going to critique this. That's fine. You can critique it all you want. Or you can go and look all you want on Amazon and see what you can pull up that's going to be a lot better. Now, do remember, if a consumer can only afford what they can afford, if they only have a budget, let's say they have a budget of $1,000, then, that don't leave them much room, even if they don't have a graphics card. That don't leave them much room for the fact of for that build. Now that budget build of the Am5 series I did will run like your NVIDIA 40 series cards, and it will run your 7000 series of AMD. So do remember that. That is pushing it up to the next level. Okay, that's going up to the next level. But if you go and buy low budget graphics cards, it's going to disappoint you when you see that the graphics card isn't doing what it's supposed to. That it's kind of struggling going through it, and when you use older graphics cards, you're going to deal with that struggle. Not unless you get a great deal, like you get a 60, let's say you get a great deal on a 6950 XT. That's an older budget graphics card, but not as so much older as it would be. But it would last you 3 or 4 years before you would have to replace that graphics card. Going on, if you're doing all these new Unigine 5, Unreal Engine 5 games, But if you're looking to go up to that route to do all them new games they got out now, I can tell you, even the RTX 4070 that I got, is barely going to keep up with those newer games. But do remember, it might not be able to keep up with them totally. But I can turn down the settings so it can keep up with it. So I can balance the settings to make it run nice and smooth and give me the best gameplay in the world. You can balance it, to have smooth gameplay. You don't have to have the most, balls to the wall graphics card to make it work. Okay? Now, if you want to go $200, $300 graphics card, you can go that too. Do remember. But if you want to save your money up and you want to get the best of the best, since you got the best power supply for this new system you just put together and everything else, then that would be the route to go. I mean, like I said, my system, I put this combination together. This took about almost 9 to 10 months for me to get it just like this. I mean, to get it like this. Even though that I got the Am4 series, the 5700X, with the B550 Strix motherboard, the B550A, which is a really good motherboard. I got 64 gigs of RAM. For the same amount you would pay for 16 gigs over there at the Am5 series, for DDR5, I bought 64 gigs of DDR4. 3200 megahertz. I don't have a problem with my gameplay. So right now what I'm seeing is the Am5 series will come down in price sooner or later. So if you just want to get by for right now, then stick with your Am4 series. So let the prices come down a little bit, and then go over and start picking and choosing your Am5 build. Or you can take and turn around and go and buy a pre-built, which is not recommended. I mean, it is recommended, but it's not. It depends on who you buy it from. Now, if you're going to buy like a Dell pre-built or a Hewlett-Packard pre-built, not knocking y'all, just saying. You guys don't build like enthusiasts will build, especially me. I'm going to give you this hint. You don't build this. Trust me. You don't build this. You never will build that. Okay? Just to give you that hint. Because you use closed cases where you can't see in, use cheap parts that people don't want, and the people that you try to screw are basically the ones that don't know they're getting bullshit in their system. I hate to tell you that. That's what your consumers that don't have enough money buy from you. And then you make it to where that it fails 6 months after they start using it, so that way they got to send it in to get it fixed, and then you say, oh well, you got to pay for this and you got to pay for that, and that's how you make your paper money. That's how you make your more money, is by taking and getting them to buy more, things that they don't need, and they just learned that they got screwed. Okay? I've already been screwed by Dell a couple times. Okay? I learned after that, so I took and turned around, got the worst system they got. I put it up on the shelf, and I modified it myself. And now it works 100 times better than when it came right out of the factory. And that's a second gen. That is a second gen Intel. And it's still busting numbers. Why? Because I modified it. So, I'm just saying, watch what you buy. If you want to build a system, take my word for it. Build it slowly. Pick your parts carefully. I always start with the motherboard. I don't care what anybody says. I start with the motherboard. That's where I'm going to start. I start with what kind of motherboard I want. you know. Or you can go on Amazon and pick the processor you want, and then they'll shuttle you with a motherboard that's probably going to be a good motherboard. Believe it or not, it'll probably be a good motherboard. You know, because and I noticed that with, when I started getting my processors, that, I look down and see what it's paired with. I did the first time on Amazon, which was correct. They had the right kind of pairing. And now I did that again with this Ryzen 7 5700X. They paired it with the Strix. So guess what I did? I went with what they paired it with. And then I added 64 gigs of RAM to it. I'm still using the same M.2 SSD. I'm still using the same power supply, the same fans, the same processor cooler. Still using the same. And then, everything else is pretty much the same. Remember, when you do that first build, after that first build, you can always modify the build. Like if you want to upgrade it or anything else, always leave yourself room to upgrade it. Just to say, leave yourself room open for upgrading. Like the case that I showed you guys, I paired it with, and I gave you the totals. I mean, I'm not going to show you and go to PC Part Picker and just say, okay, pick this, pick this, pick this, and pick this. I'm like, no. I picked it like the consumer would pick it if they were going on Amazon. They would say, oh, cool. Since now they paired it with this, and now I can put this to that, and now I can put this to that. And guess what? Now I got a full system. Now I can put this with that, this with that, this with that. And by the time you get down to the end of it all, you get your total. If you're building a $1,000 system and you already got a graphics card, a really very good graphics card, one that you're happy with, then this new system build will be perfect for you. Okay? So remember, after you get done putting it all together and get it working and put the operating system in and so on and so forth, and get all that set in with a product key and get it all set the way you want it, the graphics card that you already had on hand, and then later on down the road, let's say 6 months to a year down the road, you decide, oh, I see an awesome graphics card. The next gen that just came out. You decide, okay, well, I'm going to buy that. So you buy the graphics card, and guess what? Now you have the power supply to plug it in with. But do remember that case, you're only going to have 250 mil of length. Width will still be about pretty much close to the same. But length, you're only going to have 250 mil, not 360. Because the top two fans are 240. And you got to allow for the AI, the controls in the front, like your headphone jack and stuff like that. You got to allow yourself at least a little room there, so you can put, like, say about 206, say 250, 260 at the max. But let's say the graphics card that just came out, that's, newest of the new, is only two 120 millimeter fans. So it's two 120 millimeter fans. Guess what? Two 120 mil fans on a graphics card, you have enough room in that case. Now, if you go with 3 fans, then you're not going to have enough room in that case. And that's going to be kind of a disappointment. But think about this. You went and got all that lighting and everything else. You don't need extra lighting on your graphics card. you can modify it later on down the road to where you can put one of those little strips that go right in front of the graphics card to light it up. If you want to put RGB on your graphics card, you can always add little bits here and there. So you don't need RGB on your graphics card. You can buy it separately, and costing 10, 12, 13 bucks is a lot different than trying to fit it. But I got 2 fans on my graphics card. I can always add RGB to the front of it to make it look a lot better if I wanted to. So, depends on what you want to do. I mean, really depends on what you want to do. I can always add RGB to the blacked out RAM I got, the Corsair RAM. I can always add extra RGB to it, but I don't see it because the RGB that's on the PC cooler is doing enough job lighting up the RAM. So, see, everything works in harmony. The only thing that I see that I might do is put a LED ARGB strip on the graphics card. Maybe just one little ARGB strip that I can plug into the motherboard, I would imagine, and just run a little ARGB strip on the graphics card. Simple as that. But alright, I made this video way too long this time too. So if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. And also to watch the videos from beginning to end. And I want to thank all the new subscribers. Thank you for joining the family. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds. And my veteran subscribers, as always, much love to you. Thank you for all that you do, watching the videos, keeping me busy in the, when I make a video and you leaving little comments and stuff, that's keeping me busy, talking back with you guys, having fun, We do get some heated discussions though, but they're not heated to where they're ruthless. They're good discussions that we've been having, and I think what is it, on the next video, on Thursday's video, I want to highlight some of that. So we're going to highlight some of that on Thursday, I think, and go to the roots of the comments that have been left on the videos. So we're going to go that route, and also too, we're going to touch up on and get up to date on the polls that we've been doing in the community. So I'm going to go and roll back through all the polls and let you know my 2 cents on all the polls, and then get back up to date with that, so we'll be square straight. So, but anyway, until the next time and the next video, this is JJ on JJ's PC Builds. We will see you on the next one. Oh, P.S. Don't forget, put some positive thumbs up. It would be appreciated. Catch y'all later.